If you're like me, you learn by doing. So I'm going to show you an exercise that I call basic training. It's an excellent way to train yourself to get comfortable using your tablet. On the subject of training, when I'm talking to someone about using their tablet, I tell them, it's not so much a learning process as it is an unlearning process. We've pushed a mouse around for years, and as pens work a little bit differently, we need to get used to them. So let's create a new document in Photoshop, and as I do this, I'll review the navigation and selection process. I'm going to go up to File, tapping on File. I'm going to select New by tapping once again. I'm going to select, I don't know, maybe just a 960 by 650, just arbitrarily here. Go ahead and open that up. And now I'm going to go up to View, drop down here to Show Grid. And that's going to give us a grid that we can use as a guide to perform our basic training. Now I've selected a paintbrush by tapping on it within the toolbox, and I've made sure that I have a brush size of approximately 5 pixels. Tapping once again on the menu bar along the top, we'll get rid of our brushes palette. And now we're just going to go ahead and in here we're going to make some circles and then some X's. Now as I do this, I want to point out something, that those obviously don't look like circles and they're pretty horrible X's. Here's what you want to do. Back under View, you want to make sure that Show Grid is on, but more importantly down here you want to make sure that Snap is turned off. You see, Snap is trying to snap to the grid that we have there. So if you're trying to do this exercise and you forget that step, you're going to come up with some pretty awful looking circles and X's and wonder, well, gosh, am I that bad? What's going on here? So let me undo this for a second. Command Option Z or Control Alt Z a couple of times will get rid of those steps. So I've made sure that Snap is turned off, and now I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to start making some circles and some X's. Circles and X's. All we're really doing here is giving ourselves a reason or a purpose for kind of navigating around the tablet. What I'm doing is I'm holding my pen above the tablet and not touching my pen tip to the tablet until I actually want to start drawing. Now, don't worry if the first row of circles and X's that you attempt to make are looking somewhat, kind of like this. Everybody has, a little bit of trouble at first, but once you get used to it, I'm sure what you're going to find is that you're making some pretty darn good circles and X's. Now, when you're using an Intuos tablet, you do experience this somewhat of a disconnect between hand-eye coordination. It might take a little bit longer to get used to. If, however, you're using a Cintiq interactive pen display, this kind of process probably isn't relevant, because where you put your pen on the tablet is exactly where your cursor is going to go. So regardless of which tablet you're using, this isn't a bad exercise to try, although depending on the model you're using, you may find it necessary to go through it more than once. So as I wrap this up, understand that perfecting your use of a tablet can take a little bit longer for some than others. For some it's as little as 5 minutes, for others maybe it's a bit longer. When I think back the first time I used a mouse, which, well, for me was quite a while ago, and probably for many of you as well, it was a little bit awkward at first. Hang in there. It will come to you, and repeat this exercise a couple of times if it'll make you feel more comfortable. But do me a favor, don't wait so long that you feel you need to be an expert before you're using your tablet in your everyday workflow. Once you get the hang of it, you're most likely going to wonder how it is that you ever use Photoshop without a tablet.